The movie opens with a burning house as Grace Ladomas, covered in blood, slowly walks out of the chaos. Moments later, the police arrive and begin questioning her, but the only words she manages to say are, "in-laws," before breaking down and collapsing. She is rushed into an ambulance, where medics try to stabilize her, and as she is shocked repeatedly, disturbing flashes of the night begin rushing through her mind until she suddenly regains consciousness. At the hospital, Grace wakes up handcuffed to a bed, confused and exhausted, as a detective enters to question her. When he addresses her as Mrs. Ladomas, she quickly corrects him, stating that she is no longer tied to Alex Ladomas, making it clear their relationship is over. The detective then informs her that she is being detained after 2 bodies were recovered from the remains of the burned house once the fire was extinguished. Soon after, Faith Ladomas arrives to see her. When asked who she is, Faith responds with sarcasm, keeping her distance. Grace questions her, but Faith coldly reminds her that she never wanted a sister and the feeling was mutual. As she prepares to leave, Grace stops her and begins explaining what truly happened that night. She reveals that after the wedding, Alex forced her to participate in a family ritual where she had to draw a card and play the game written on it. When she drew hide and seek, everything went silent, as it was the worst possible card, one that meant the family had to sacrifice her to the devil. Grace continues, explaining how they hunted her through the night, how she was shot through the hand, brutally beaten, and ultimately betrayed when Alex stabbed her. Despite everything, she survived until dawn, winning the deadly game. When Faith asks what happened next, Grace quietly reveals that they all suddenly exploded, while a mysterious man sat watching from a chair. Unmoved, Faith tells her that none of this will matter, because she is going to prison. In the next moment, the story shifts to an older man, Chester Danforth, speaking on a phone call, calmly stating that a ceasefire should be approved. As the call ends, another man enters the room, and Chester greets him, hinting at a past that has been waiting to resurface. The man claims he has urgent news and asks for privacy before revealing that the Ladomas family is no more. Hearing this, Chester Danforth immediately calls for his assistant and orders her to locate his children. He then sends out a message stating that the bride survived while the Ladomas family has been wiped out, meaning the ball is in play. The message reaches Waning in Shanghai, who reacts instantly by summoning her lawyers. Soon after, Chester gathers his children, Titus Danforth and Ursula Danforth, and informs them that the game has begun. Titus protests, insisting it is not fair, but Chester coldly reminds him that fairness does not matter, only the rules do. As Titus hesitates, Chester demands that he act like a Danforth. He presents a ring, emphasizing that it must never leave the family and that they must reclaim their place. Ursula agrees without hesitation. Accepting what must be done, they carry out the ritual, suffocating Chester as he prepares himself, sealing their commitment to the game. Back at the hospital, Grace Ladomas remains with Faith Ladomas and the detective, who decides to move her to the station for further questioning. But without warning, he is suddenly stabbed in the neck. Chaos erupts as Grace and Faith run and hide, moving carefully through the hospital corridors. They manage to take the detective's gun as his body falls still. Moments later, a man hunting Grace finds them. She tries to shoot him, but he overpowers her and slams her to the ground. Just as he is about to kill her, his body suddenly explodes, leaving Grace shaken but alive. She quickly changes back into her previous clothes, preparing to escape, but before they can leave, someone enters and throws a smoke bomb, filling the area with confusion. In the chaos, it is revealed that Mr. Wilkinson had been trying to eliminate Grace even before the original game began, and with his death, his entire bloodline comes to an end. The story then shifts to a wedding where the Danforth family abruptly cuts the ceremony short, claiming there is a gas leak and forcing everyone to evacuate. One by one, key figures begin arriving at the now cleared venue, including Ignacio and Flip, who are welcomed by the Danforths. Ursula asks about Francesca, and Ignacio assures her she is on her way. Soon, Chin and her son arrive as well, followed by more guests, all told to wait as their main guest is yet to appear and a lawyer will soon explain everything. Not long after, a helicopter lands, bringing Grace Ladomas and Faith Ladomas to the gathering. They immediately ask about Chester, only to be informed that he has passed away. As tension builds, an attorney steps forward and begins to explain the situation to Grace, pulling her deeper into a deadly game that is far from over. The attorney continues explaining that the system behind everything is called the Lobel Organization, a secret council made up of 6 powerful families, including Grace's in-laws. However, after the Wilkinson family was eliminated, only 4 families remain active. He reveals that by surviving the previous hide-and-seek game, Grace unknowingly activated a rarely used clause in their ancient rules. He explains that within the council, one position holds more power than the rest, the high seat. It was previously held by Chester Danforth, but after his death, it is now vacant. Shockingly, Grace is informed that she now has a chance to claim it. When she asks for a cigarette to process what she's hearing, the attorney refuses. He also notes Faith's unexpected presence, since she once claimed she had no connection to this world. Grace immediately rejects the offer, but the attorney warns her that the high seat controls the entire council, and the council controls everything. She is then forced into another deadly version of hide and seek. This time, she must survive until dawn, while all remaining council members will hunt her. Whoever kills her will inherit the high seat. Grace refuses until she is threatened through her sister's life, forcing her into the game. The start time is set for exactly 2:31 p.m. As tension rises, Francesca suddenly bursts in, demanding Grace's ring and revealing herself as Alex Ladomas' ex-wife, adding another layer of betrayal to the already collapsing situation. The game officially begins, with strict rules announced. Council members are forbidden from killing each other directly, or their entire bloodline will face punishment. The hunters then prepare and move out in their vehicles, while Grace and Faith Ladomas are handcuffed together and left in an open field with no protection. Grace wakes Faith and urgently tells her they must move or they will die. They start running as the Danforth family begins the hunt, gunfire tearing through the field behind them. In the forest, Ursula Danforth tracks them relentlessly, while Titus Danforth suddenly appears with an axe, cutting off their escape. Grace and Faith fight back and manage to take him down just in time before Ursula reaches them. Narrowly escaping death, they reach an open field, but a sniper immediately locks onto them, forcing them to sprint into a nearby house as bullets rip through the surroundings. Faith uses smoke inside the building to block the sniper's vision, giving them a brief moment of safety. But just as they attempt to escape again, another council hunter attacks. In response, the sniper shoots a gas cylinder, triggering an explosion that eliminates the attacker. In the aftermath, the enemy briefly regains consciousness, but Grace and Faith are already gone. They flee into another house where Faith carefully tends to Grace's injured hands, while both of them realize the game has escalated into something far more controlled, organized, and deadly than they ever imagined. Another council member enters the area armed with a knife, forcing Grace and Faith to hide once again. As they attempt to slip away, they are spotted and a violent chase begins. With no other option, they decide to fight back. They manage to break free from their handcuffs and, in a desperate struggle, trap the attacker inside a washing machine, killing him by spinning it out of control. Meanwhile, Mr. Rajan is informed that his brother has been killed, which means he is expected to enter the field. However, he refuses and instead sends his wife in his place. In the next moment, Grace finds a phone and calls 911, but the call is shockingly answered by Ursula Danforth herself, revealing that the Danforth family controls the entire phone network. She tells Grace to come to the main gate. On their way, Grace and Faith encounter Wan Shenzing, who claims she is not there to kill them, but to make a deal. She reveals a loophole in the system. If Grace agrees to marry her son, she will gain the seat, survive, and gain protection, but at the cost of joining the organization and surrendering her freedom. As they speak, a sniper opens fire again. Wan Shenzing protects them, since council members cannot kill each other directly, and urges Grace to accept the deal. However, a sniper closes in, forcing immediate action. Grace uses Wan Shenzing's weapon and kills him in a brutal counterattack. Instantly, both Wan Shenzing and her son explode due to the council's bloodline rule. Tension rises between Grace and Faith Ladomas, as Faith accuses Grace of abandoning her in the past. At the same time, the Danforth family instructs Grace to wait at the main gate where a police officer will meet her. But as they arrive, Grace and Faith launch a surprise attack instead. Grace disarms Ursula and holds her at gunpoint, demanding how to open the gate while threatening Titus Danforth. Ursula coldly dares her to go ahead and kill him. A brutal fight breaks out, and Ursula manages to stab Grace before being knocked unconscious by Faith. The two escape in a golf cart and take shelter in a building where Grace tries to treat her injuries, but another argument erupts and Faith walks away. Soon after, Mr. Rajan's wife arrives and attacks Grace using an RPG, but she mishandles it, giving Grace the opening to fight back using pepper spray from a guest kit. At the same time, Faith decides to return, only to be ambushed by Titus. Grace defeats Rajan's wife, and just as Titus is about to kill Faith, Ursula intervenes, stopping him. She proposes using Faith as bait to draw Grace out. Grace shoots Rajan's wife and makes her way toward the lobby, where the remaining council members are waiting. She immediately asks for Faith, but gunfire erupts and she is forced into cover. Soon after, she manages to locate Faith Ladomas, but is confronted by Titus Danforth, who orders her to come out or Faith will be killed. With no other option, Grace agrees, but only under one condition. She will accept the earlier loophole and marry him, securing safety for both her and Faith. She demands that Titus swear before Mr. Lobel that no harm will come to either of them. After he swears, Grace finally steps forward. In a shocking turn, Titus suddenly betrays Ursula and strangles her to death, eliminating her from the game. Moments later, Grace is led down in a wedding gown, and the forced ceremony begins. She and Titus exchange vows, sign the contract, and are officially declared husband and wife. After the kiss, Titus is awarded the high seat, believing he has finally won everything. But the victory is short-lived. Grace immediately stabs Titus multiple times, killing him and taking the reign, completing the sacrifice and becoming the new holder of the high seat. In her first act of power, she rejects the organization entirely and removes herself from it. The council is shocked, arguing that no rule accounts for someone willingly giving up the seat. A final rule is revealed. The high seat will belong to whoever holds the ring at dawn. With only minutes left, Grace throws the ring into the sacrificial pit. The remaining council members desperately jump in, fighting each other to claim it. As dawn finally breaks, Grace and Faith are freed, while the remaining members are destroyed in violent explosions. In the end, Grace and Faith finally reconcile, apologizing to each other after everything they survived. Their shared nightmare is over, and the story comes to a close, and that is the end of the movie. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon for more movie breakdowns like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.